Yesterday, Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick. Kylian Mbappé scored twice and broke France's all-time scoring record. Erling Haaland scored twice on his World Cup debut. And Cristiano Ronaldo, the man who was supposed to answer all of them, stood in a penalty box in Houston, Texas, watched a cross float past him, and did not jump. A 22-year-old DR Congo defender headed it away like it was nothing, because to him, it was nothing. Portugal drew 1-1 with DR Congo yesterday, a team playing their first World Cup in 52 years, a team ranked among the weakest in the tournament, a team that had not won a World Cup game since 1974, when they were still called Zaire. And Cristiano Ronaldo, the man with over 900 career goals, the man some people genuinely believe is the greatest footballer who ever lived, finished the match with 25 touches of the ball and 0 shots on target. 0. The most expensive, the most decorated, the most celebrated number 9 on the planet. 0 shots on target. I am going to say the thing today that the pundits on television are tiptoeing around, that the manager is in denial about, that Portugal fans do not want to hear. Cristiano Ronaldo is no longer a World Cup footballer, and Portugal are risking an entire tournament, a squad that could genuinely win this thing, because nobody in that setup has the courage to say it to his face. Let me show you what yesterday actually looked like, because the scoreline does not tell you the whole story. Portugal had 75% possession. 75. They had the ball for 3/4 of the match. With all of that possession, against a team playing their first World Cup in half a century, Portugal managed exactly 7 shots. DR Congo, with 25% of the ball, had 8. DR Congo had a higher expected goals total than Portugal. DR Congo had more shots on target than Portugal. A team that had never scored a World Cup goal before yesterday equalized against one of the pre-tournament favorites and fully deserved their draw. And at the center of Portugal's attacking dysfunction, the man the entire system is built around, Cristiano Ronaldo finished with the second fewest touches of his entire World Cup career, 25. He has now gone 10 consecutive major tournament games without scoring for Portugal. 10. World Cups, Euros, 10 games, over 800 minutes of football. His last non-penalty goal at a major international tournament was in June 2021. That is not a slump. That is not a bad night. That is an era ending in public. Slowly, painfully, on the biggest stage on earth. And everyone can see it, except the 2 men who most need to. Here is the moment that told you everything. Late in the match, Portugal chasing an equalizer, chasing a winner. Bruno Fernandes plays a brilliant pass into the box. The angle opens up. There is a cutback available. A teammate is in a better position, a cleaner shot, a clearer path to goal. Ronaldo gets in the way of the pass. He takes it himself. He pokes it wide. Thierry Henry, watching on Fox Sports, sitting in the studio in New York, did not hesitate. He said it straight. The team needs to score, not you. If Ronaldo just steps into the 6-yard box, the defender follows him, and it is a tap-in for Fernandes. But he wants the goal, so he kills his own team's best chance to be the one who scores it. That is the Ronaldo problem in a single play. The drought has made him desperate. The desperation has made him selfish, and the selfishness is costing Portugal goals they should be scoring. He is not doing things badly out there. That would almost be easier to watch. A horror miss, a shanked volley, something you could point to and explain. He is doing nothing. He was, and I want you to really hear this, a theoretically present human being who contributed less to Portugal's attacking threat than the midfielder who was supposed to be protecting the defense. For 90 minutes at a World Cup in 2026, Cristiano Ronaldo was a ghost. Now let me tell you about the numbers, because they are not opinions, they are facts, and they are merciless. Ronaldo has played 396 of a possible 420 minutes across Portugal's last 4 major tournament matches. In those 4 matches, Portugal have scored 1 goal. 1. When Ronaldo starts, Portugal average 1.9 goals per game, and even that number is heavily inflated by a 9-1 hammering of Armenia in qualifying. When Ronaldo does not start, when he is on the bench, when Martínez has been forced by circumstance to find another way, Portugal average 2.8 goals per game. The team is measurably, demonstrably, statistically better when Cristiano Ronaldo does not play. Not slightly better, not marginally better, almost a full goal better per game. Portugal went into this World Cup with one of the deepest attacking squads in the entire tournament. Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Pedro Neto, Francisco Conceição, Gonçalo Ramos, the man who scored a hat-trick as a substitute at the last World Cup on his debut and has been kept on the bench ever since. That squad, without the position occupied by the Ghost, could score freely, could press high, could play with speed and movement and the kind of football that wins tournaments. Instead, they drew 1-1 with DR Congo. And here is where the story stops being about Ronaldo and starts being about the man in the dugout. Roberto Martínez made substitutions yesterday. He took off Bernardo Silva at halftime. He took off Pedro Neto after 70 minutes. When he needed a goal, he brought on a striker, Gonçalo Ramos, the man with a hat-trick on his last World Cup appearance. The man Ramos replaced was not Ronaldo. He took off a midfielder. He brought on a striker, and kept the striker who had not put a single shot on target all game. Read that again slowly. At Euro 2024, Martínez substituted Ronaldo in exactly 1 of his 5 appearances. 1. And even that was late, when the game was already decided. The pattern is not subtle. It is not debatable. It is the most obvious thing happening in this entire World Cup. Roberto Martínez is scared of Cristiano Ronaldo. Not scared in the way you fear a great player, scared in the way you fear a conversation you do not know how to have. Scared of the reaction, the headlines, the dressing room, the stadium full of people chanting CR7, the 1,000 career goals hovering just out of reach on the horizon. After the match, a journalist asked Martínez why he left Ronaldo on for the full 90 minutes. His answer revealed everything. He said, "It makes no sense to take off the best goal scorer in the history of football in a match where you need goals." The best goal scorer in the history of football. History. Past tense. Martínez is selecting a player who does not exist anymore. He is naming a ghost. He is using a legend to justify starting the man who is left, and the man who is left can no longer do what the legend did. That one word, history, is the whole problem in a single syllable. Now let me be honest, because this channel does not do cheap shots. This is not entirely Ronaldo's fault. When you have been indulged for long enough, when you are picked every game, started every match, chanted for by a stadium full of people holding signs that say you will always be their greatest of all time, it becomes nearly impossible to see yourself clearly. When your greatest rival is still doing it, still scoring hat tricks at 38 years old, still making defenses look foolish, the competitive fire that made you great does not let you accept that your time has passed. And there is even an argument, a real one, that Ronaldo still has value in this squad, as a late substitute, a break glass in emergency option, as the kind of presence who can be brought on in the 80th minute when a team is chasing a goal and every defender in the opposition has to keep one eye on where he is. Wayne Rooney made that point after the match. Use him as a decoy. Use him as a shape changer. Use him in the moments when his name alone creates panic. But all of those uses require one thing: Ronaldo on the bench, not playing 90 minutes, not anchoring the attack, not occupying the position that should belong to a man 20 years younger and 2 gears faster. There is one more detail I have not mentioned yet, and it is the one that will make you angriest. Cristiano Ronaldo was not supposed to play yesterday. He received a red card earlier in Portugal's preparations, against Ireland, and was facing a suspension for the opening match. A one-game ban that would have kept him out. FIFA reviewed the case. The ban was suspended. He walked onto the pitch in Houston anyway. Multiple reports pointed to FIFA's interest in keeping the tournament's most famous faces visible, in keeping the names that sell tickets and generate television ratings on the pitch and in front of cameras. One outlet's player rating for Ronaldo read simply, "Gianni Infantino shouldn't have bothered." Think about that. If FIFA had simply enforced its own rules, the rules that exist for every other player in this tournament, Portugal would have been forced to play without Ronaldo. Forced to find a different shape, a different striker, a different way. And they might have won. The favoritism that was designed to protect Ronaldo ended up sabotaging his own team. So here is where Portugal actually stand tonight. They have drawn their opening match of the World Cup. They face Colombia next, then Belgium. Groups that were winnable now carry risk. They have one of the most talented squads in this tournament. Players who can run, who can press, who can create, who can score. And for the third major tournament in a row, they are at risk of throwing it away. Not because they are not good enough, because a manager is too frightened to make the one call that every single person watching already knows needs to be made. The leap that never came against DR Congo was not just a missed header, it was a symbol. The legs that made Cristiano Ronaldo the player he was, the legs that launched him toward 1,000 crosses, that carried him to 900 goals, that made him one of the most physically extraordinary athletes this sport has ever seen, those legs left years ago. What is left is a man who still wants to be that player, who still believes he can be. and a manager who lacks the courage to tell him otherwise. Portugal have the squad to win the 2026 World Cup. The only question is whether anyone in that setup is brave enough to move the statue. Tell me what you think in the comments. Is it time for Ronaldo to come off the bench, or do you still believe he has one last miracle left? Subscribe to When Football Speaks, the full story of every match at this World Cup, told the way it deserves to be told. I will see you in the next one.